I'm Dale Lawrence. Welcome to the Travel Show. This week, the Travel Show comes to you from the Mekong Tourism Forum in Pak Se, southern Laos. It's a two-day conference and exhibition with the theme Destination Mekong, the Making of a Star. Here's the Executive Director of the Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office, Mason Florence.
It is a great honor to be here in Pak Se in Champasak Province for the Mekong Tourism Forum 2011. I came in 2009 to the Lao Ecotourism Forum in Vientiane, and it was the first time that I saw booths like this made of bamboo and natural materials, and I thought it was so great. We copied them last year in Cambodia when we had the Mekong Tourism Forum 2010, and it's so nice to see again, instead of the normal commercial style booths, to have a really natural feel. And I understand that all the materials from these booths get recycled back into the local community, which is wonderful. Our theme of the forum this year is Destination Mekong, the Making of a Star, and it's part of the process of how we can put the Greater Mekong subregion on the world map as a global superstar, as a household brand. Basically, you need investment, you need infrastructure, you need product, you need service, and you need marketing. So of these 5 components, we have today at the forum and tomorrow panel discussions and presentations that will hopefully come together at the end to see how we can promote the region as a superstar around the world.
Delegates to the event in Pak Se were welcomed by the Governor of Champasak Province, Sonashai Sipandon.
This event is very important to Champasak, especially it will promote and contribute in the social and economic development of Champasak. The main sector that development in Champasak is a tourist sector. As you know that Champasak, we have the share border with Thailand. That's why that more visitors, especially for international visitors, is come from Thailand. But we have planned to extend our tourism visitor from the third country. Nowadays, the government have invested on the infrastructure, especially extended the Pak Se International Airport to meet the Boeing and Airbus aircraft. I hope that this way will bring the third countries visitor come to Champasak more easily.
Well, of course, to do that, you need to encourage more international airlines to fly to Pak Se.
For the Pak Se or Champasak government, we belong to the central government, and we propose that the government have to make the policy for the open sky, that let the international airline to land to the Pak Se airport as well.
We also spoke to the Vice President of Lao Airlines, Sengprosut Machachan, about the company's plans for expansion.
Today we are flying 8 aircraft are on turboprop, which are 4 ATR 72 new brand that we get the first one in 2009 and the 2 last one in 2010. And other 4 are Chinese-made aircraft, MA60. By the end of the year, if everything goes smoothly, like in the discussion that we have, we would like to introduce 2 new jet aircraft, which are Airbus 320 to our fleet. And we expect to expand our services. Firstly, we will keep flying the existing routes that we have a big competition, like Bangkok, Hanoi, Kunming, etc. And plus this, we would like to expand our service to Singapore and Guangzhou, China.
Now, looking towards the medium and longer term, do you see a day coming when you will have a long-haul fleet?
Because to fly long-haul, we have to be very, very strict with the regulation of IATA. Now we are working on the SMS. It means security management system. So if we got that, so it will be easier for us to go and share and to make the cooperation with other airlines, like code sharing, fly, something like that.
Indeed. I mean, the point I wanted to make was that at the moment, obviously a significant number, more than 50% of visitors to Laos come from Thailand. And indeed, long-haul international visitors to Southeast Asia are probably landing in somewhere like Bangkok first, and then possibly choosing Laos as part of their holiday itinerary. You could penetrate much more effectively the long-haul source markets if you had a long-haul fleet at your disposal.
Yeah, this is our expectation to get the tourists flying long-haul, because today they come and stop in Bangkok or in Chiang Mai. Mostly we get the tourists visiting Laos from Chiang Mai. The European coming to Chiang Mai and they learn that there are some destination here in Laos, and they come especially to Luang Prabang and take the flight from Luang Prabang to Siem Reap.
The Mekong Tourism Forum was officially opened by the chairman of the Lao National Tourism Administration. Sompong Mongkongvilai, you're the chairman of the Lao National Tourism Administration.
Yes.
And you've just formally opened the Mekong Tourism Forum. Now, I'd like you to tell the travel show about your hopes for developing tourism, not only in Champasak province, but throughout this wonderful country.
First of all, the open policy of the government for tourism. I just mentioned during the opening session about the government now develop infrastructure for the whole country, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. In many provinces, we build the roads that link with our neighboring countries, the connectivity by roads. That's one, my hope. Secondly, the air linkage, air connectivity. Also, we try to have open sky policy. You see, open sky, that means we invite also our neighboring countries to fly to Laos for benefit of the two sides.
Indeed. Now, you have an airport here in Pak Se. You call it Pak Se International Airport, but in fact you have relatively few aircraft arriving from overseas. So what are you going to do to encourage more airlines to service Pak Se and Champasak province?
Besides the local airways, we also invite our friendly countries to fly to Laos, which I call an open sky policy. That was always discussed among the ASEAN countries together. But gradually, it depends on how much people can come and understand Laos about our tourism policies. If they see that the advantage will be beneficial for both sides, as I mentioned, they will fly to our country much more than before.
We'll be back with more from the Mekong Tourism Forum after the break. But first, here's a roundup of the latest news. Thai Airways is fitting new seats and improved in-flight entertainment systems on its fleet of Boeing 747-400 aircraft. It's a bid to win back economy-class travellers that have been deserting Thai Airways for airlines with better seats, more legroom and individual TV screens. But it's a slow process, with only one aircraft being retrofitted each month, and most travellers choosing Thai Airways on some long-haul routes to Europe, such as London and Frankfurt, will be experiencing the now outdated economy class product until well into 2012. Thai Airways faces intensive competition from Asian and Middle Eastern carriers, which offer far superior seating and in-flight entertainment.
Amazing Thailand. Just as amazing as you remember.
Phang Nga is a small province located in the south of Thailand. It's home to a stunning area of islands. Many of them are famous for their fascinating underwater world. Visitors can also go canoeing in beautiful Got Hong, Khao Phing Kan, and Got Tapu, which once featured in a James Bond film. And like the famous spy series, you too can live the life from dusk till dawn here at Phang Nga.
The Pacific Asia Travel Association was one of several organisations supporting the Mekong Tourism Forum. Here's the interim chief executive of PATA, Bill Corderwood. Bill, you've just finished the keynote panel discussion. You were one of the panelists talking about the need to align the marketing strategies of ASEAN and the greater Mekong sub-region. There wasn't universal support for that concept, and indeed much of the discussion was about how you fund it. Now, you advocated the need for, or the desire to create more public-private partnerships. Is there a role that your organisation, PATA, can play in this?
Indeed, I think the whole concept of a public-private partnership is that you combine funds, you leverage the spend, but at the same time you need some form of coordination to bring things together. And I think governments have a role to play, private enterprise has a role to play, and in some areas private enterprise is far more effective in doing that. But you do need that coordination. PATA is certainly one organisation which can provide that. A good example is the way in which the PATA chapters in different parts of the world do combine, do run events, and do bring different parts of the industry together. And it's proven very successful in building business, networking, and also providing good vehicles which individual companies couldn't do themselves.
Indeed. Now, you mentioned the PATA chapter network, and this is, of course, an example of working at the grassroots and then maybe driving up,
yes,
rather than relying upon state-run tourism offices, administrations, to filter down policy. Do you think that's got some future then in this particular region?
Indeed, I think the government can do certain things. I think the government they have a role to play in terms of making access simple, getting infrastructure underway, addressing issues like visas, etc., and also encouraging increased air access as well. But the industry itself, it's their livelihood. They know the best way in which they can actually reach different consumers. So the government can create the situation, it can create the awareness, it can create the vehicles, but the industry are the ones who will effectively use it. And so I think there has been examples where in the past it's worked very, very well, and there's no reason why it can't work well in the Mekong.
Indeed. Now, one of your fellow panelists, Lucy Matzig, a former member actually of the PATA Executive Board, CEO of a very successful tour company based in Bangkok, Asian Trails, he put forward the view that the ASEAN and Mekong regions should be separate. I mean, do you agree with that?
I think that Mekong itself is a very strong sub-brand, and the focus should be on that. If Mekong gets subsumed by just talking about ASEAN, it's a danger for that. Mekong in itself has a unique personality, and it should be used. Mekong in itself is as a secondary destination in that it attracts repeat travellers. Mekong itself has also got great appeal to certain segments of the market. So I think the important thing is to understand exactly what the Mekong brand is, how it can actually be used effectively, and to make sure it has a chance to survive and run on its own. I think it's strong enough to do that. It needs help, it needs support, but please just make sure that you actually use it as a very strong sub-brand.
Amazing Thailand always amazes you.
Delegates attending the Mekong Tourism Forum were in an upbeat mood. Here's Kuntapini Kiatpaibun from the Tourism Authority of Thailand, and first Jens Trainhart from Dragon Trails. Just summarise very briefly for us the role of your organisation in tourism in this part of the world.
Thank you, Dale. I mean, I think what Dragon Trail is looking to do is help tourist boards from countries to cities, hotel brands, cruise lines and so on, to take advantage of the growing Chinese outbound tourism market. And on the other hand, the potential of leveraging the internet and social media in China to brand themselves and connect and reach Chinese consumers, especially affluent Chinese consumers, or what we call the new Chinese tourist, that is moving from a pre-packaged tour to a more semi-FIT experience.
Are Chinese consumers ready for that sort of sea change?
Yes, we believe so. And I think what we've seen is that a lot of people travel for the first time out of China, internationally, if it's to Europe, to North America, or to Thailand. And the bottlenecks are mostly visa and also the distribution channels, which are mostly still offline, but the research is done being offline. And same with all of us. I mean, we don't want to sit on a bus and being told to do what we may not want to do. You know, you eat at this restaurant, you shop at this place, and you sit on the bus for 5 hours. You know, once people have done the first time travel, they say, you know, we want to experience ourselves. So this market is growing very quickly. And on the other hand, there are a lot of people that have been abroad, either for business or maybe for education, or they heard from their friends and they say, you know what, I want to travel my own ways. The one issue though is that the distribution channels are still developing in that kind of form.
You touched upon a rather controversial issue, and that's what they call the $0 tours, where Chinese tourists are packaged and put on a plane, and that they are notorious in Bangkok, for example. What are you doing at the TAT to try to discourage that type of tourist and encourage more Chinese tourists who are coming of their own free will, who have the freedom to explore your wonderful country?
As we know that, okay, the emerging market is China, and also we prepare for the ban of China is out out the country to travel. We prepare everything's localized, and also we use many distribution channels as a new trend, like okay, new medias and the collateral material. We do it both on and offline, and definitely we think about the not value for money itself, value and quality to make the people of China feel like, okay, they got a very good experience.
You're talking about, of course, a source market that's going to become increasingly influential. There's been an explosion in outbound travel out of China, and whilst the majority are still going to Macau and Hong Kong, some now going to Taiwan with those restrictions having been eased, there's tremendous potential, isn't there, to attract Chinese outbound tourists into the greater Mekong sub-region, to countries like Thailand and of course Laos, where we are this weekend. But it's not just about numbers, is it? It's about getting quality tourists who are making a real contribution to the local economy. How do you control that in the private sector, first of all, Jens?
I think it's an excellent question, and it's a problem that is there. I mean, I was 6 months ago, I was in Siem Reap, and Siem Reap is doing well with tourism, but obviously a lot of the money is being sucked out. There's a big danger that a great destination like Angkor Wat is in danger of being overpopulated, but no money is staying in to kind of preserve this kind of destination.
If I might say so, I think Angkor Wat is probably already overpopulated, and there is a danger that the same will happen here at the World Heritage Site at Wat Phu, and I think that's one of the very important points that's come out of this forum, the absolute necessity of protecting these natural assets and World Heritage sites from too many people visiting at any one time.
Yeah. I mean, what we're looking to do, obviously, we're helping Chinese tourists via social media and new media techniques and the internet to be educated about the value of the destination. We say, yes, I want to do and experience that. On the other hand, we're starting to do a social media campaign in China via celebrities and social media channels like Sina Weibo, which is a Twitter equivalent, and we call it the New Chinese Tourist Campaign. And on one hand, we're looking to work with countries like Thailand, Canada, Germany, all over the world, and hotel brands. We talk to various ones, and they're all very excited to participate in that. And on the other hand, so we'll build a site, and there are basically two buttons on it. The first one is, I am a new Chinese tourist. And it's in Chinese, and it's basically saying, with 1.4 billion people, increasing awareness and saying, you know what, I'm a new Chinese tourist, I want to experience the local flavor. I don't want to sit on a bus for 4 hours and do a shopping tour. I'm a new Chinese tourist. On the other hand, there's a button say, I want new Chinese tourists. Maybe Thailand will say, yes, we back this campaign, but these are the people that we want. And it may be just a drop on the hot stone, but we believe we need to start somewhere.
It sounds a wonderful idea, Jens, I must say, and I would imagine something that interests the Tourism Authority of Thailand.
Yeah, sure, but you know, in terms of the Greater Mekong sub-region, we need to know the radius of ourselves. So if we would like to do what Kun James suggested, we have to make sure that we are ready.
Amazing Thailand always amazes you.
The three small islands of Got Nang Yuan are connected by a bank of pure white sand and surrounded by crystal clear waters. The spectacular coral reef and abundant marine life here makes this paradise destination ideal for snorkeling and scuba diving. Now it's time to pack your bags and explore this gem in the sea.
Amazing Thailand, just as amazing as you remember.
Peter Simone has a wealth of knowledge and experience about tourism in Laos. Here's his summary of the two-day Mekong Tourism Forum in Paksay.
I think it's been superb. I think it's been wonderful. For Laos, it's again another coming out party for Laos. I think that They're new on the global tourism map, and having events like this is a very effective way for outsiders to learn about Laos, but also for Lao people to learn about tourism. I think it's an interesting activity, and watching the reaction of some of the Lao people towards an international event with international media and private sector investors, I think they're excited. So I think it creates a bit of momentum and buzz about tourism here in Pak Se and also throughout the country. So it's great, and I think the content of the forum is good. We're learning a lot.
One of the repeating messages that we're hearing is that government has so much to do.
Yes.
To ensure a sustainable development, and yet there's clearly a role for the private sector and organizations such as the UNWTO, for example, to play in advising the Lao government. Are you confident they'll strike the right balance?
I think it's a very tough question, and I appreciate the question. Look, I think that governments are sort of in an early stage of understanding how tourism is developed over a long period of time. And there's still a real insistence on looking at the economics purely from how many visitors are arriving to the country. And if you've increased by 10% your visitor arrivals from last year, then you've succeeded. And unfortunately, we know, and there's a lot of studies that verify that this is not the fact, that it needs to be looked at from an economic perspective, and it needs to be, I think, part of the overall national, or in this case regional, planning. You need to look at it from the Ministry of Finance's perspective, from the Prime Minister's office, from not just the tourism department. So I think that tourism is still a little bit misunderstood. While everybody thinks that they understand what's going on, I think that there's a lot of room to enhance the understanding and to take a more holistic approach to how you develop tourism, looking not only at the numbers, but how much are they spending, what's their length of stay. And I think that the role of the UNWTO or the Luxembourg government, which is who I'm representing right now, I think we have the opportunity to provide some of this expertise that might start to shift the understanding and the goals of tourism. Why are we actually engaged in tourism? Are we engaged in tourism because we want to make money for a lot of people at different levels of the community? Are we engaged in tourism because we want to become more popular? We want a country to be known about? I think these goals are not very clear. And I think what's happening as a result of this misunderstanding is that nobody's thinking about carrying capacity. Nobody's thinking about what happens with the environment if we have too many tourists. What happens to the culture if we have too many tourists? And I think it requires a much more sophisticated look under the hood of tourism. How are we going to make this work in a positive way?
Well, that's it for this week's show. My thanks to all our guests. Join us at the same time next week, when I'll be reporting in more detail from the Mekong Tourism Forum, as well as exploring some of the local tourist attractions. But until then, from everyone on the Travel Show, it's goodbye.